Bro, I just got a stain on my shirt. Now I'm sad. Oh, that grunt sounded really weird without context. Maybe I should finally talk about what this video is about. That'll be pretty fun as well. As fashionably late as always, as I am to talk about these things, we have to talk about the latest news for Shadow Generation, specifically the Dark Beginnings animation tease that we got. And I swear I have more videos in production aside from just my reactions and discussions to new Shadow Generations news. I swear I have more things than just that are in the works right now. But until that time, Shadow Generations. Holy shit, dude. Why is this gonna be the best Sonic game yet? We just had Frontiers, we just had all the 30th anniversary celebrations. Dude, I didn't know the year of Shadow was actually gonna go this hard. Like, I wasn't ready. If you somehow didn't see the new tease for Shadow Generations, the Dark Beginnings animation came out about a week ago, and I'm still hung up about it. I still can't get over how amazing it looks visually, but also what they are going to be doing for the story and what that means for the actual Shadow Generation story. It's going to look phenomenal. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so excited. We have to talk about this. I can't just not talk about this. We have to talk about this right now. Or well, I guess I haven't talked about it with you guys as yet for like days. So I'm just a big fat contradict, huh? But I guess we need to point out the obvious right from the get-go. We need to point out that a huge spotlight for the Dark Beginnings animation, when it was revealed over the Anime Expo, there was a nice little poster that was given to people, and of course a nice tease for the prologue animation. But of course, with these two pieces of media, one thing was very much apparent to us Sonic fans, and it is the return of Emerl. And I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, whoa, didn't know that Emerl is part of Shadow's lore. What, are they rewriting it to include Emerl? And the funny thing is, I actually learned about Emerl and Shadow's connection in Shadow's backstory like only weeks before the reveal of this animation. Mia and a friend of mine had been discussing about what parts of Shadow's backstory would be included in Shadow Generations, and he told me like, oh, it would be so great to see like Emerald return in terms of like, you know, how he caused a problem on the Ark way before the gun invasion, the Freeze Project Shadow. And I'm like, wait, Emerald, I thought he was just in Sonic Battle. Wait, he has something to do with Shadow? Because I never played, or well, I didn't never play Sonic Battle, but I've only played Sonic Battle a couple times here and there. And seeing, I've only played it like a couple times as a really young kid, and seeing Emerald come back, I want to play it some more just to make sure like I can understand this lore. Quite literally, I had no idea that Emerald was part of Shadow's lore until like weeks before the reveal of this animation, which I guess kind of lined up unintentionally. But ever since this animation tease got dropped, I've been studying. Okay, listen, man. I don't want to be some guy who just like blindly is like, oh, whoa, I didn't know that he was part of this lore. Or I guess they're adding him now. Like, no, I want to do my research. Like, I can admit that I did not grow up with full understanding of Shadow's lore. And I want to do my part. And I literally the other night was like at like 1 a.m. or so. I was like, you know what? Now would be a good time to read up on the Gizoid lore. So I guess after educating myself about it, this looks insane. They're actually, from my knowledge, Emerald and his influence on the Ark has not been referenced and brought back at all ever since Sonic Battle. Like, there's been no ever like readdressing of what happened on the Ark with Emerald, and or at least no retelling of it until right now with the Dark Beginnings animation. Like, I can't believe it's actually happening. I can't believe they're going into this with so much detail, bringing back so many deep cuts, and actually treating it with actual care. They made a lore team, right? Like a couple years ago, they made a Sonic lore team. Is that actually a thing? It's like, are they actually making sure all the lore is cohesive and like bringing it back to make sure that it's all like digestible? Oh my god. I'm just fanboying thinking about it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, if I'm blatantly like wrong about something, feel free. But like, I'm pretty sure, to my understanding, the lore with the Gizoid is that it's like 5,000-year-old plus like ancient mass weapon of destruction that can destroy civilizations. And after I don't know what happened afterwards, but for Gerald Robotnik to have stumbled upon Emerald, or like I guess the Gizoid as the before given a name of Emerald by Sonic. But when Gerald Robotnik did find the Gizoid and brought it back to Space Colony Arc to try and like, you know, figure out its inner mechanisms, inner workings. And I did actually post about it on Twitter, being like, oh, I genuinely don't know this lore. Like, I'm not trying to be ignorant about it, but I just genuinely don't know the lore, and I'm curious about it, like straight up curious about it. And then someone reached out to me about it. It was actually under a Chari5 post. Shout out to you, Chari. And it's like the TLDR is that Professor Gerald discovered Emerald and gave him part of the soul that's patterned on Maria, just like he did with Shadow. So yeah, and he did that, which of course, very huge connection between Shadow and Emerald, like linking like forever in that case. There was a first instance when Gunn had come onto the Ark, or not come onto the Ark, but was like asking for Gerald to like stop his experiments with Project Shadow, and he's like, oh, Gerald's like, oh, let me give up the Gizoid to give you guys some sort of like peace offering trade, and that didn't work when the Gizoid decided to just like destroy half of the Ark, or like a huge chunk of the Ark, as we saw in the animation. And the Gizoid attacking the Ark was a good well before Gun invading the Ark. So not only are we definitely gonna get the Gun invasion, since in the there's a small clip of the animation where it stutters and flickers, so you can see like little glimpses of like Shadow's memories, and one of them being, if you freeze it, one of those frames is all the Gun soldiers with you know, like the little visors and holding the gun. And so we are getting both the Gun invasion on the Ark as well as the Gizoid attack on the Ark. And that just makes me wonder, how many things are they actually going to pull for not just the animation, but for the actual game? Because if we can actually physically play through that event in Shadow Generations, playing through the Ark and fighting Emerald, that's gonna be insane. You can't tell me that's not insane. Let alone the fact that we're gonna see this fight between Shadow and the Gizoid on the Ark. The fact alone that we're seeing it is hella awesome. But imagine if we can actually play it when Shadow Generations comes out. Oh my god. And like I said, it just makes me wonder what other deep cuts and like notable things are they actually going to finally acknowledge, because there was a little bit of a kind of tease. Maybe Ian Flynn was just messing around, but Ian Flynn put a knowing smile, a hashtag, under a post about, oh, maybe shouldn't this deep cut Sonic character be represented in Shadow Gens, and it's the Gun Commander. And the fact that Ian Flynn put a knowing smile underneath it, could the Gun Commander have some sort of role in the story? Like at least like as a side character, or like, because you know he does play a big part in it as well. But I'm getting a little bit off topic, even though I don't have a topic, because I still want to talk about the animation for a quick sec before I transition into anything else. Because, bro, the animation is so good. The animation is so godly. This is as close as we're getting to a new Sonic anime. The animation is apparently done by the studio that did The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or at least the movie for that show, and that's pretty impressive. Okay, like, let's not debunk how cool these shots look and how cool the animation is and how flashy it is, and the fight scene. Like, this is 1 minute, or like 1.5 minutes of a preview of a 3-episode long series. The episodes, I can only presume, will be like maybe around 5-ish minutes, maybe more, maybe less. Let's not take that with a grain of salt. But 3 episodes, like, and we only saw 1.5 minute. Like, this is a full-on short film. Like actually, it's fucking insane. The animation is so smooth. All of the After Effects visual effects all of the lighting. I think it's a blend of 2D and 3D animation, and I personally do not mind at all with that. I know all the previous other Sonic short animations have been like fully 2D, I believe, for like you know, Frontiers or Mania or Superstars. But with the scope of this animation and how much impressive work is truly going into it, I don't mind a hybrid of 2D and 3D at all. And of course, the reintroduction of Maria Robotnik being a prominent character in this franchise again. And, you know, of course, a prominent character in Shadow's backstory, a prominent character that Shadow feels for, that Shadow, like, Maria is everything to him. Like, Shadow cares so much about this best friend of his and nothing happening to her. Him wanting to be the cure that can solve her problems. Well, not necessarily her problems, but, you know, solve her illness. And I truly don't know if we've ever seen this relationship between them in this much detail. All these events happening on the arc, all of these things that Shadow has had to live through and experience through. I don't know if we've ever actually seen it in this much detail up until now. We're gonna see it in this animation, we're gonna see it in the actual game, we're gonna see it in Sonic Movie 3, which, as at the time of recording this, still hasn't had its first trailer shown publicly. What are you guys doing? How are you fumbling this badly? Though another thing that stood out to me is the voice acting, because the direction is absolutely phenomenal. Again, just with how Knuckles' direction was in the Frontiers prologue animation, and how Sonic's voice direction has been over the past couple years. Shadow's voice direction, Kirk, he said in the Anime Expo that he has finally gotten the opportunity to like do a deep dive into Shadow's character and how important all this backstory actually plays into his inner emotions and his inner feelings, and what the tone of the voice should be and how much emotion should actually be let out, and for parts where Shadow can let out big bursts of emotion. And him and Maria's voice actress were describing really perfectly how the dynamic between the characters should be, and it's honestly making me so excited just at the fact that the voice direction goes a long way to making these characters shine, and it looks like they're actually doing it with so much care and attention to detail that they're gonna go back into the studio whenever they need to and re-record lines to make sure that they get the emotions down. Like, that's I have to respect that. Like, that's so much dedication that I wouldn't have thought was gonna go into it. And again, of course, even though we only saw like 3 seconds of Shadow and the Gizmoid battling, that alone was so cool. We're gonna see a full-blown animation of Shadow fighting the Gizmoid, and he was almost so close to like choking out like Jill Robotnik or like about to like kill him. Like, dude, like, this is insane. This is actually insane. I don't know what to say. Every sentence I speak is followed up by me saying, "Oh my god, this is insane." But like, truly, I don't know how to respond, how to react to this. Like, this is genuine reaction that I'm throwing out there. Like, this is crazy. And truly, every time I have rewatched this simple animation teaser, I've gotten chills. Like, the hairs on my arms would spike up. I would almost feel like I would want to cry, like looking at Shadow and Maria interact, and that Shadow is so sad that like Shadow is disappointed in himself that he's not being able to do better for her. Like that is what's going on. And Shadow's like, I should be the ultimate manner of medicines. I should be able to cure you. And Maria hugging Shadow, that can make any Sonic fan cry. Like, I even rewatching it, I want to cry. Like, that's so wholesome. And I guess it really goes to show just how much they are taking into consideration all of Shadow's lore if they are going to acknowledge Sonic Battle as a core main lore aspect that needs to be acknowledged for Shadow's lore, that the Gizmoid attack did happen on the Ark. And I know that there was the screenshot of a timeline for Shadow, and that, you know, Sonic 06 was not on it, and they did give a response saying that, oh no, 06 is important to Shadow's lore, we just didn't have the space on the timeline to fit it and talk about it, which, you know what, that's fair. 06 is a pretty sticky situation in terms of understanding its lore. I still don't, but it really goes to show how many other aspects from other Sonic games are going to be acknowledged. Like, obviously, Kingdom Valley did get revealed to be a stage in Shadow Generations, so what sort of lore aspects and story aspects are going to be taken from there? Like, is Shadow going to face off against Mephiles? Is Shadow going to face off against, I know that they said, they had also brought up briefly Sonic Rivals, and that there is a bit of lore to Shadow in Sonic Rivals, and I also have very rarely played Rivals 1 and 2, so I don't know what lore Shadow has in the game, but is Rivals going to be brought up as well? I don't know if Forces will be, since it's after Sonic Generations, but I would like to see Forces acknowledged. But quite truly, how many things is going to be acknowledged? Of course, again, like probably the Shadow Androids from Heroes, we got a Hero stage in there. Like, I'm honestly in so much awe at the extent that they are going to make sure that this lore is actually going to be like, I can't judge it fairly as yet, but just by looking at it right now, and I don't want to get too many hopes up, it looks like it's gonna be hella accurate. Like, this is the first modern interpretation of Shadow's lore, like current date, or current, like, you know, 2020 and beyond interpretation of Shadow's lore, not just from the older Sonic games. And that's a big deal. That's a lot of, like, it's a lot to fill. There's been a void and a gap of, like, acknowledgement towards that side of Sonic lore for so long, and it's got a lot of steps to fill in order to, like, you know, please fans, or like at least make it like a digestible source of content. But it looks like they're actually handling it with so much care and the utmost of importance, and that just makes me so relieved. It makes me so happy to see just how much effort is being put into something like this. It's hard to judge it based off of this 1 minute and 30-second animation tease, but just with the amount that's going on with it alone, as well as the couple other new details that we got about Shadow Gens, is honestly making it look so promising. And I truly don't hope, I hope that I do not end up eating my words about that, and that, you know, it doesn't live up to what we're all expecting right now. But truly, even if that does end up being a scenario, this still looks like one of the best pieces of Sonic media in general to come out, like, in forever. Again, even after all those amazing pieces of media that we've gotten ever since Sonic's 30th anniversary, like, this somehow is already topping all of it, and just proved that we are still riding high off of Sonic content. Sure, maybe by 2025 it'll finally, like, start to die back down a bit after these past 3 years of non-stop content, but living in it right now, there is truly no better time to be a Sonic fan, or, like, I guess in this case, a Shadow fan. So I just couldn't be more happy for the way things are looking for this. It was months ago where we barely knew information about it, and now that we know more and more information, and we're so close to finally watching the full animation when it comes out later this year, and playing the game when it comes out in October, like, there's no reason not to be excited. There's no reason that you can't be excited for Shadow Generations, the animation, the actual game. It's a good year. It's a good year of Shadow, and I could not be happier.